Hi, everybody. I wanted to send our weekly update this week as a video because there's some things I wanted to share with you visually. And so that's what you can expect from this video. I will start by saying that I came across a really cool quote from one of our students when they were doing their work last week on search engine comparisons. Heather wrote, "A search engine is not a source, but a way to obtain a source," which I thought was so powerful because often kids will think that Google, which is the search engine they typically use, hopefully you'll have them using some other search engines after our search engine activity, but they typically think that the search engine is their source. So if they're citing where they got information, they will copy the URL from the Google page rather than going right to the source. So helping students understand that Google just gets you there. It isn't a resource or a place where you're going to find answers. I also wanted to say just a couple quick words about the use of keywords, which you read about when you read chapter 6 for last week. And I'm sorry if I feel like I'm backtracking here, but as I was reading your work, I came across some things I thought, oh, I should mention something about that. So I wanted to say here, you read about the use of keywords, and there are some good activities in our textbook for developing keywords, but I will say that it's difficult for a book about technology to keep up with things. And so while that book was only published a couple of years ago, the technology continues to improve so that we have the opportunity to use keywords fewer and fewer times because more of our search engines accept our natural language, which is when we pose a question, just like we would say it to someone else in speaking, you can type that into Google and some search engines and get useful results. We didn't used to be able to do that. Some of you may remember way back, some of you may not, but when we first were using search engines, you had to be very limited in the words that you typed into the search box. Not the case today. But it is still important to teach kids how to use keywords effectively because not all of the sources they go to are going to take their questions as asked. It's getting better. For instance, if you go to the Emporia State Library website and you type in the title of an article, oftentimes you can get directly to that article. But that's because the search engine that is used for the library website has improved. And as search engines become more Google-like and databases become more Google-like, we probably will see fewer and fewer needs to use keywords, but it's there in the chapter and it's something that kids will still encounter. Okay, something else that came up in your assignments are some alternative search tools from the ones that you use and the ones that we recommended in the book. As I said, more things keep being developed, and so I wanted to show you a couple of those. So I'm going to go first to Kiddle, which is a visual search engine for kids. It's powered by Google, and it uses a tool that Google has produced called Safe Search, which I'm going to talk about in just a couple of minutes. So I like to use Kiddle. I used it this summer when I taught summer school, and I did some library skills with kids in summer school because it's kid-friendly. It just looks kid-friendly when you first get to it, but it also will let you search for certain formats of information. So you can just search for websites or images, news, videos, or encyclopedia. I'm going to use it for images because we have a lot of kindergarten and first grade teachers in our class, and often that's where searching skills are taught when you're modeling how to search for images because that visual display, also good for older students too, and for students learning English as a second language, reluctant readers, you may be searching for images. So I'll type in my search term. I'm going to search for images here. And one of the things to watch for in Kiddle is that depending on how you have your settings set in your use of Google, you may encounter some ads at the beginning of your search. They would be up here in the top, they would be grayed out, and that's a good opportunity to teach kids about ads that do appear in searches. But it's not for all. If you're signed in and you have a Google account, you're less likely to get the ads than if you're just using Google without being signed in. But you can see here that now I have a selection of images to go with my search term. I can also then, I could search for information about sunflowers, news, videos. So you can get those varied formats. It helps you narrow down your results. When kids are using just regular Google, everything is thrown in there together and they have to wade through things. So what I like about Kiddle is it keeps us and kids from having to wade through quite so much. Now, another search engine that came up, and Alexi in our class, thanks Alexi, she shared this one, Safe Junior, Safe Search for Kids, again powered by Google. It's kind of like a Google Junior, but it is meant for students. You can see it has some extra stuff. It has the word of the day, the quote of the day, today in history, but you can also use it as a regular search engine. It has that clean look of Google, so there's not a lot of distractions, but it also has some safety features, and this is what I wanted to point out. Google, in whatever version you use, does offer safety tools. And so if you will search for Google Safety Center, you will see that it provides a lot of options for staying safe online. And one of them is Safe Search. So any computer that students have access to, whether it's home or school, you can go in and turn on Safe Search, and it blocks some of the things that students will see. Now, what it blocks is going to vary, and your school district's firewalls may already be blocking a lot of things. So, but I do like to show this to people anyway. So you'll have to sign in to Google, and you'll have to go to the search settings, and you'll just click on a button that lets you turn on Safe Search, and then it will let you lock that button. So especially if you're at home and you have your own children, you want to kind of protect them a little bit from what they're going to see in their searching, you can use this search feature. I did also want to point out the Safety Center that Google has for everyone, for families, but a lot of the things on here you could use that with your students also. And there's a lot of cool things that can help people stay safe when they're on the internet. And then the last thing that I wanted to share with you, although our search engine comparison activity had you compare free online search engines. If you're working in a school district, it's very likely that your district has the rights to use some search databases, whether they're provided for free from the Kansas Library or your school district may subscribe to some databases. Those actually are great places to have kids searching because they're a closed site, so they're more protected on what types of information students will see. So one that our district has access to is WebPath Express. You may not have this one, but it probably works fairly similar. What I like about a closed database is that you can use filters to help narrow down your results. So if I'm searching for sunflowers, I have 127 results. I try to teach kids about this display, help them understand that this first page is only part of the results so that they keep looking. But we know that most people don't go beyond the first 10 results, kids and adults. But it's good to point that out. But what I like to teach kids how to do here is use the filters to find grade level appropriate results that they can more easily read. And so I could select by Lexile or grade level. And if I select by grade level, now I've limited what the students can see to things that are closer to their reading level. I could also select on format. So let's say I just wanted students to watch videos that are appropriate for 3rd through 5th graders. Now I've really narrowed my results. Now I'm down to 2 things, but I can more closely monitor the type of information that they get to when they do their searching. So explore what you have available to you through your school district. I'm going to head back to my slides here because I do want to highlight the things that you're working on now. We are halfway through the class, 2 more weeks to go. You're climbing that mountain, trying to get to the top, and I know that you're going to make it. This week we're focusing on close reading, getting in some of those important comprehension skills that go with, that lay that foundation for internet inquiry. We're also working on the instructional inquiry planning chart, and this I want you to make really useful to your own teaching. When you finish this, I want it to be something that you can take with you to your classroom, whether it's the first month or the fifth month of the school year, and you can use that to guide your teaching. So please keep that useful to what is going to be helpful to you. Also, your reading and viewing materials that are going to be a part of our discussion circle number 2. And as soon as I finish making this presentation, I'm going to go read your reflections from discussion circle number 1. Hopefully you found that discussion to be both valuable and fun. So that's what you're working on. Here's what I'm working on. And hopefully you might be too, trying to find that balance between work and family. So last week, my family and I went to Colorado for our family vacation. So there were 8 of us and spent a lot of time trying to keep 8 people happy, which is pretty easy to do in Colorado. And during that week, I tried to keep up with your questions, do a little bit of grading, but now I'm back home, focusing my energies on our class, catching up and keeping up. Hopefully you're doing the same thing, catching up and keeping up, trying to find that balance between your schoolwork and your family, because it is summertime and you do want to have a good time, but I know that you're wanting to work hard in our class, and I can see that effort in your work. So here we are, set up for week 3. Have a good week. Take care. Bye-bye.